G'day guys, it's TK here from Aussie Prepper, and today I'm going to be doing a tabletop review of my all-time favorite tactical survival knife. Now the knife that you guys see in front of you today is the MFK02 from an Australian company called Hardcore Hardware, and bloody oath are they hardcore. So jumping straight in, the knife comes with a Cordura sheath, as you guys can see. I've got the black one. They also do a tan and a multicam one as well, I believe. So it's got the pals webbing on the back here with a very heavy duty clip there. I had it. I've got it undone because I actually had it lashed up to some LB the other day testing it. A very hardcore sheath, sort of representative of the company. They've also got the two Velcro retention straps here to hold the blade into the Kydex insert, and a somewhat not very functional belt loop in there. I'll get to that later. And one thing that I do like is they've got these straps here which enable you to put like another, say, little Maxpedition pouch there, which you could store like a fire steel in, a compass, a sharpening stone, maybe even a little bit of lint and that sort of thing. So what do I like about the sheath? What don't I like about the sheath? The sheath is good quality. Like I said before, it's Cordura. It's sprayed, so it's water repellent on the back and water resistant on the front. What I don't like about the sheath is, number one, these Velcro straps. If I could steal a term from one of my favorite YouTubers, being Nut and Fancy. If you're watching this, Nut and Fancy, big shout out from Australia. G'day to you, mate. The philosophy of use on this knife. So it's touted as a tactical knife, and to their credit, it is widely used throughout the Australian Army, and particularly Special Forces. The SASR guys are right into these blades, so that is to their credit. But I cannot think for the life of me why they would have used Velcro. I just can't. Anyone that's used knives in the field for a while will know that Velcro is very, very susceptible to the elements. So in snow, rain, or even sort of very dusty environments, all Velcro loses its retention after a while. It's gonna get fuzzy, it's gonna get clogged up, and it's just not gonna hold. And then what are you gonna do with your blade? You're gonna be up shit creek without a paddle, as they say. So that's one thing that I didn't like. Another thing was the Kydex insert that holds the knife in place. When I first got it, it didn't hold the knife in there. It didn't hold the blade in there very well at all. I actually had to modify that a little bit. So going back to the philosophy of use, tactical blade. If you had this lashed up on a vest or something, you've got the Velcro on there, so it's just loud out in a tactical sort of setting. And then number two, if you chose not to have the Velcro on there and you just had it sort of done up behind the blade, it used to just fall out, which is you're going to lose your blade, which is even worse. And then again, you're up shit creek without a paddle. So they were my two biggest gripes with the sheath, and that's only because of the price point of this knife. So I've had this for about a year now, and I believe it sent me back about 230, maybe 240 Australian dollars, which for me is a lot of money for a knife. Speaking about competitive options, you can get a BK, a Becker BK9 for about $120 in Australia, and this is nearly about the same price as the Essie Hunglis. But being an Australian blade and being highly recommended by Special Forces and that sort of thing, I definitely had to jump behind and try the product out. The company, you can find them at hardcorehardware.com.au. They definitely stand behind their product, and they've got a thing on their website saying that the knife has pretty much a lifetime warranty. The only thing that it doesn't cover is if you burn it, shoot it, or blow it up. And as I'm about to show you guys in the reviews, we sort of get into it, is the only way I could think of destroying this knife really is strapping a bit of Semtex to it and blowing it up, because it is just such a sturdy, hardcore beast of a blade. So we'll get straight into it. Undo the 2 retention straps. Like I said, I modified that Kydex insert so it sits in there a lot better now. But when I originally got that, it would just slide out. So here's the knife. I'll give you guys a bit of a close-up. It's got the D2 hardware. All right, so jumping straight back into it, philosophy of use on this knife. Sorry, Nut and Fancy. I'm going to keep stealing your terms, brother. But philosophy of use on this knife is it's a tactical survival knife. It's the way the sheath is set up to be put on a chest rig or LBE and that sort of thing, or even LE, the law enforcement guys. The fit and finish of the knife, the black matte finish. So it might look a little bit shiny here with the camera light on it, but in real life it's a matte black finish, which isn't gonna catch on anything and be reflective out in the field, which is super important in those tactical operations and that sort of thing. The specifications of the knife, overall, it is 265 millimeters. I believe that's a little over 10 inches. The blade is a little over 5 inches or 134 mil blade. It's a modified Tanto blade. The weight of the knife is 405 grams or about 14 or so ounces. And my favorite thing about the knife is it has the 6 millimeter thick it's a 6 millimeter thick blade, rather, with the full tang construction. As you can see there, that absolute beast of a tang, that monstrous tang running all the way through into the extended pommel with a very nice glass break on there. All right, it has serrations, so I'm not the biggest fan of serrations. Personally, I carry other things if I need to cut webbing, if I needed to cut cord, a seatbelt, that kind of thing, rope. I'd prefer to have mine. I'd prefer to just have a plain edge, a fine edge on my knives. But that's what they've chose to go with. Some guys really like the serrations, some don't. One thing I can say to their credit is these serrations were razor sharp when I got them, and for all the testing I've done, all the abuse that I've put it through, they've stayed razor sharp. Another thing is, going back to Nut and Fancy, I know he would love this extreme jimping. These grooves along here, which with or without gloves, they really enable you to really choke up in there. So if you were doing some fine tasks, you know, some fine cutting tasks, some bushcraft, carving, etc., they're going to be your best mate. It's got the finger guards there, which is actually a construction of the knife. It's nothing that's been it's not like some of the Bowie knives where they put it over and then, you know, rivet it into place and that sort of thing. So that's not going anywhere, that finger guard. It's got, you know, the one on the back there for your thumb. And then another thing that I really like about this knife is the extended pummel here, the glass break. Like I said, the company really speaks very highly of their knives and the near indestructibility, if that's a word, of the blade. So when I first got this knife, I thought that, like, you know, I'll test that out and see really how tough it is. So I smashed up bricks, I smashed up cinder blocks with that pommel there. I smashed up bits of wood and that kind of thing. And the only thing I've done is just taken a bit of the Teflon coating off there, and that's about it. Other than that, it's super tough. And another thing I did is, if you guys can see that little chip right there, is I was stabbing this into bricks, testing it out, which is just idiotic. It's moronic. You should never do that with a knife. But like I said, I just really wanted to see how well it would hold up, what kind of damage the blade would sustain with that, you know, unrealistic sort of abuse that I put it through, and that's the only thing that happened. Just that little chip in the blade, which can easily be fixed, and other than that, there was nothing wrong with the blade, which I was really surprised about. I know with a lot of other knives, maybe double this price, nearly triple this price. If I put it through the kind of abuse that I've put the MFK02 through, there wouldn't be a tip on there. You'd be looking at nothing right now. It'd either be all chipped out, or even folded over, depending on the type of steel and the hardness and that sort of thing. And that's another thing to get me onto the type of metal. It's a D2 blade, so some guys love D2, some guys don't. I had heard a lot of negative things about it before I got the blade and tested it. This was actually my first D2 blade, and after using it and that sort of thing, and I've had this knife for a year now, and I've put it through insane amounts of abuse. I've become a big fan. So I don't really know much about knife steels, to be honest, compared to some of my mates and some other guys in the knife field. But I've heard it all just comes down to heat treatment. If a knife has a good heat treatment by people who know what they're doing, knife makers who know what they're doing, then that's really what matters. With regards to the steel and whether it's going to chip out. A lot of people say, oh, D2 chips out, and in cold environments it's going to chip out. But I've seen another video on YouTube where a bloke put the knife in an esky, left it there overnight, I believe, and then the next day he got it out to sort of mimic freezing cold conditions, and then he was batoning with it and cutting and hacking and chopping and that sort of thing, and the knife performed excellent. It didn't chip, it didn't break or anything at all. So like I said, the heat treatment plays a huge part when it comes to that. D2 is a tool steel. It's a high carbon, high chromium steel. I think it's a semi-stainless. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I was super happy with this knife, and for the amount of money that I paid after I've used it, and the kind of abuse, like I said, that I put it through, to the standard that it's held up. I mean, not even the finish really was affected at all. There's a little bit of sort of scratching and that kind of thing on there, like you would expect. On the pummel, a little bit of the Teflon coating come up, but overall nothing. It's held up awesome, absolutely awesome. The company, like I said, really stands behind their products. They've got a quote to read off their website. It is better to overbuild than to introduce an element of failure when lives are at stake. There is no compromise, which is absolutely correct. Like I said, the philosophy of use is this is a tactical survival knife. Could even be a fighting knife. Like I said, it's got the finger guard. For how bulky it is, the amount of heft, I would like to think there was some other options that I'd like to go with. I'd rather go with a longer, lighter blade, or an extremely short blade held in the sort of slashing style. But I'm not a knife fighter or an expert in that, and God forbid I ever do have to be in a knife fight. Screw that. So as a survival knife, it is just a superior tool. Like I said, I've batoned with it, I've hacked with it, I've chopped, I've used it to cut all sorts of netting and webbing and rope and that sort of thing, and those serrations are still razor sharp. The edge has taken a bit of a battering, but like I said, after batoning with it and hacking and chopping with it so much, I stabbed into aluminium, and I've stabbed into an old car door. I've stabbed into big chunks of wood and pried with it, just seeing if what sort of abuse the tip would hold up to. And like I said, the only thing that chipped that tip out was stabbing it into bricks. Just being a drongo, being an idiot, just wanting to see what kind of pressure it could withstand. I reckon it needs a bit of a sharpen, but if I can just get a bit of paper, yeah, I'll see if it held up. It was razor sharp out of the box, so yeah, it's become pretty dull. But I mean, for the sort of abuse that I put it through and for how much work it's actually done to still, you know, cut a little bit through paper, I am still thoroughly surprised. I'd have to say. For competitive options, like I said before, you could get a BK9. You can get a lot of knives, especially you guys in America. You guys are so lucky comparatively because everything here, sort of just off the bat, it's about double the price. Like I said, BK9s are about 120. Essie Hunglis is about 280 to 300. I was even just having a look at the other day out of curiosity at the workshop sharpeners, and not the just the normal workshop here is about $140, which in America the new Ken Onion is about that much. So double the price. The old ones go for about $60, and here they're $140, which is just ludicrous. Anyway, to wrap things up, awesome blade. Like I said, for the amount of abuse that I put it through, for how well it's performed in the field, I would have no qualms about using this as my primary survival blade. You're not going to break this thing. I've tried. I deliberately tried to break it when I first got it. Just stuffing about, you know, seeing if I could do it. And I know in real life you don't abuse your knife that much, you know. So I can't really think of anything, like I said, short of strapping some plastic explosives on there and blowing it up. That's going to destroy this thing. It's going to come through for you when you need it, when you're out in the field. D2 holds a very good edge. The edge is going to stay sharp when you're out in the field, when you're cutting, when you're chopping. If you have to baton with this thing, it's a tool. It's not just the knife. Another thing I forgot to mention is how that it's 6 mils along there and then it tapers in there. So with that bit there, you can hammer nails in. But with the hefter for this knife, you could actually just hammer nails in that way, or if you had it in the sheath, hammer nails in just using the handle. It's G10 handles. It's flame resistant. It's very impervious to the elements. So on a survival blade, that's what you want. No point having something on there that looks pretty, and but then it just, you know, doesn't perform out in the field. I'll just give you guys a look. It's got the HH. It was quite a real nice handle when I first got it, but the amount of abuse that I've put it through, I need to give it a little bit of clean and a polish. It's held in there by Torque screws. The company also does a paracord handle, a wrap paracord handle. So they gave me this bit of paracord that comes with the knife, and they were real nice. When I first got the knife, I contacted them and said if they could change the handle over, and they said sure, send us the knife and we'll change it over. I'm not sure if they still do that. You'd have to contact them, but they were pretty nice to deal with. All right, guys, this has been a Aussie Prepper tabletop tactical knife review. I'll be doing some other reviews of tactical gear, knives, axes, tomahawks, boots, clothing, and that sort of thing. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I could improve some things, feedback's always appreciated. And if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button. This is TK out. Thank you.